Hey, Heyo, Jordan from the Winding Path. Again, this is the second time I've tried to do this video, and having some technical difficulties, especially with the internet, because we had a second line put in, but it doesn't work for shit. And when we're paying $70 a month in internet for 2 lines, granted, yes, the internet is not that great here, but we would at least think that you'd be able to use it to do what you want to do, and apparently we cannot. So I don't have very high hopes that this video will actually last for very long or be of good quality, just because I am on the other internet connection that is not meant for my significant other and I. Even though we pay for both of them, we are not really, we don't really use this one because this is the one everybody else uses. Because ours, that we're supposed to be using, doesn't work worth a damn, regardless. So I might need to fiddle around with the modem a little bit or something just to see if it's maybe the modem. I have no idea, but it's kind of irritating. But last video I was just kind of talking about how, or the last time that I was talking, oh, by the way, just so you know, one, my significant other is here, she's in bed, I'm not going to show her because she's in her jammies. And 2, if you hear paper cutting / crinkling, hopefully she's not going to crinkle it. Good job.
All done. That was
fun. Hopefully she doesn't crinkle the paper to throw it away, but if you hear cutting and stuff like that, it's because she's cutting out clothing patterns for our business. So, or one of the things for our business anyway, because clothing, child's clothing sizes, what, 1 through 10?
2 through 10.
2 through 10. Basically, that's one of the main things that she does, as well as, spinning yarn and candles, hand dipped in jar candles, and smudge sticks and jewelry, and divination candles, which are the little, like the drippy candles that you can drip into water. We kind of do those as well. We do hand dipped beeswax and paraffin candles, and all that other good stuff. We're slowly getting things up on our Etsy shop, which I'll post a link to that Etsy shop probably after our first couple shows, just because we do have a couple shows that we've been preparing for the last few weeks that we are just kind of doing and working on. We have about $4,000 worth of inventory projected for both of those shows, so we'll see how it goes. But this is kind of a random video, just some thoughts here and there. One of the main things that I was kind of talking about, though, was running a household. And I don't have a typical job. I don't, I own my own business with my significant other. We own our own business. But when you run your own business and you're home all the time, people automatically assume, oh, you're not busy, you're not doing anything, you can go ahead and come do this for me, sort of deal, without asking or without consideration of the fact that we have things that we need to do, especially when we're getting ready for a show, to go to a craft fair or to a fair or to a farmer's market or something. We're not going to just show up with a few $100s worth of inventory. We got to show up with a few $1,000s worth of inventory. Otherwise, especially if it's more than a couple days, because it's like if we go and we have $4,000 worth of inventory and it's a 4-day event, what happens if we sell out of 2 or 3 products that we carry? Then we got to come home and make some more. And there's going to be some places where we go where we can't just come home and make more. We'll be out of it until we come home. But, running a household, especially a household like this one, where we have 8 people and a baby, it gets a little hard to do sometimes, and it gets a little stressful, and it gets a little overwhelming, especially with trying to get stuff done for a business. Like, my significant other has been cutting out patterns for 2 days because she has, and she's not even got them all printed out yet. We're waiting for more ink so we can do that. And she's, she's basically sitting there just cutting out patterns, and it takes
And piecing them.
a long time because she also pieces them together as she cuts them out. She doesn't just cut them all out and then piece them together. She does it both at the same time, which takes a while. If you've ever sewn or done patterns, done patterns or cut out or printed out and cut out patterns, you know exactly what she's going through. And the thing is that she's going through not just 1 or 2 or 3 patterns. She's gone through how many so far?
Just one today. I have done 16 patterns today.
Yeah, she's done 16 patterns just today. And that's not including yesterday or the rest that she has to print out, because she wanted to get 28 dresses done before our first show, which is going to be Strawberry Festival in Buchanan, West Virginia.
So if you're in the area,
So if you're in the area, come check us out. We're Mountain Path Market Ltd Co., or Limited Liability Company, or LLC, if you want to go that far. But we'll have a 10 by 10 tent, or a 10 by 10 tented space that we'll have all nice and decorated inside, and maybe have a fan going if it's hot, so that way it kind of blows some air around, and you can come see our candles and our yarn and our sewn clothes and our jar candles, because we do have jar candles as well. And come see some of our stuff, our jewelry, that sort of stuff.
herbal teas.
Herbal steams,
Bath
bath salts, all that sort of stuff. We have a multitude of products, and we've inventoried it all. We've taken the time to go through all the tedious stuff to price it and inventory it and figure out what materials we have, which we still need to actually go through and inventory the rest of our materials for everything else. But if you're going to be in the area, it's Buchanan, West Virginia. Definitely come check us out. First show is going to be Strawberry Festival, and then about 2 weeks after that is going to be in Philippi, West Virginia. It's going to be the Blue and Gray reunion. We've already sent in application fees and applications to both of those, and I believe we've been accepted by both of them, haven't we?
We haven't received a letter yet, but I believe we've already been accepted.
Okay, so we haven't received a letter yet, but we pretty much should be already accepted. I know that there's some things that need to be approved for the Blue and Gray reunion, which, I don't know how that's going to happen, but we'll figure it out, I'm sure. But anyways, running a household in general can be difficult. It can be very hard to do if you have a multitude of people. I mean, I have a friend of mine back in Washington who has a household of 15 people, a majority of them being kids. And then here, I have a household of 8 people and a baby. And then I know some people that have a household of like 4 or 3 or even 2. But it really kind of depends on where you're at and what situation you're in and what your daily tasks just to run the household are. Like for this family, this household, we use a wooden stove for a majority of our heat. And we have a furnace that we run, but it runs on diesel. And there's just times where we may not want to go get diesel or not able to go get diesel. And so we use a wood stove to heat our home primarily a majority of the time. But so that way the heat hopefully doesn't have to kick on. But that means bringing in armloads of wood in the morning and the evening. And that means, since we use coal and wood, we gotta sweep and mop and dust fairly often. Well, more often than it has been happening, because it hasn't happened, I don't think, in a while. The dusting.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have dinner to cook for 8 people. And then you have laundry for 8 or 9, 9 people, 8 people and a baby. And 2 of our kids go to school, which means we got to get them up at 6 a.m. to make sure they're ready to leave out the door by 6:45 a.m. to catch the bus down at the end of the driveway. And, my significant other and I are kind of the two people that are actually running the household. And we're finding it very stressful, especially when you couple in there the fact that we're trying to get a business started and running. You know, we don't have leisure time to just sit around and do nothing. There's always something happening. But at the same time,
Like sitting here cutting out patterns at midnight.
yeah, like sitting here cutting out patterns at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning because, you know, it needs to get done, because the longer it takes to cut out patterns, the longer it's going to take to get to the fabric cutting, which means it's going to take longer. Oh God, roach.
Uh-uh, for real. On camera as well.
Oh God.
Yay.
Okay.
Please
Sorry.
specify our house is not
Okay,
ready.
that is not a roach, a cockroach. That is a water roach. And I felt something on my leg, and I was wondering what that was. That was a water roach.
Did you kill it?
It's underneath my cauldron lid right now. So,
You go, baby.
so
Slayer.
they don't
Water
bite.
roaches.
They're not bad. They're just annoying. You know, they're not real cockroaches. They don't scatter when the light comes on. They're attracted to moisture, and they tend to come out when it's warmer out. And you know, they're not really bad. They're annoyances, kind of like ants
Especially
or
for
spiders.
someone who hates insects like me.
However, yes, my significant other does hate insects
You kind of
with a
keep it together.
passion.
Yep.
And so, you know, a water roach can like fly across the room and she'll be like, "Zzz, what is that?" And then she'll be like, "I'm not moving from this bed until this thing is found. I swear to God." And then, of course, that leads to me and one of the stepkids, or one of my stepkids, grabbing a flashlight and a broom and a fly swatter and like digging around trying to find it.
I love you.
I love you too. But anyways, what was I saying? But running a household is, you know, especially for at least 8 people and a baby, or 9 people if you want to just count the baby as a people, because it is. It can be hard, and it can be very challenging, especially when you have 3 people that go to work 5 days a week, and then you have one other person that's 16 that actually babysits those 5 days a week that those people are working. And in addition to, in some
Working
cases,
part-time.
working, doing another job, which is a house cleaning job, but she doesn't do that every day. She does that maybe like, once a week so far on average?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about once a week on average, where she can be gone anywhere from 3 hours to 6 or 7 hours. It kind of depends. But luckily the woman is fairly close. It's maybe like a mile down the road or 2 at most. So it's not very far away. And then you have 2 of our 2 kids who go off to school, 2 boys who go to school, and they leave at 6:45 in the morning. And, you know, that leaves basically my significant other and I to be the 2 to take care of everything else, you know. And we, you know, that ends up coming up to, okay, well, we got to try and have the boys bring in wood in the morning and after they get home from school, because if they don't, then I end up doing it just because I want to get it done. That means keeping up on the dishes, because if you let the dishes sit there for a couple days, you're going to have a kitchen full of dishes and everybody trying to figure out what they're going to use to eat because nobody's stepped in taking care of dishes. And that means keeping up on laundry and doing it at least 1 load a day. Wash, dry, fold. You know, because if you don't, you're gonna basically have 3 days worth of laundry from a week's worth of not doing any laundry. You know, and it comes down to just getting it done and keeping up on it. And this household isn't necessarily a magical household, just because,
Yes, it is.
well, it is, but with the amount of people that we have, it's hard to have the magical moments in cleaning. It's hard to You know, like unless it's in the morning or in the afternoon when nobody else is around. You know, collecting wood, there's nothing really magical about collecting wood. You walk out to the garage area. In my case, you walk out to the garage area, which is across the not across the property, but probably like what, 100 feet away, 200 feet away.
Yeah, I mean, it has its magical moments, like when it's quiet, like all those, like when you do it at night and all those stars are in the sky and you can hear the frogs and you can hear nature,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you can take time and.
Well, that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. What my significant other was saying, if you didn't hear her, was that, you know, we do have magical moments, which that is true, we do. Because out here in the mountains, like we're in the mountains, we're in the country, like literally we are, you know, we're mountain people, pretty much. But you know, out here it's so different than what I'm used to, because what I'm used to is being in the city. You look up and the atmosphere of the lights blocks out the stars. You see the moon because it's super bright and it's close, but that's it. You don't really see any stars unless you're in, you know, someplace far north or far south that's away from a city, main city area. But here, you walk out on the porch, and if it's clear night and the moon is full, you could literally walk around the yard and it would be basically like twilight. It is that bright. And you can look up in the sky and you can see every single star, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. Or when it's quiet and you walk outside, you can hear the wind go through the trees, you can hear the water, you can hear the frogs, you can, you know, it's amazing, it's magical. What I was more talking about was doing like housework and making housework magical. Like basically having doing magical housework, magical housekeeping. Like when you're dusting or you're sweeping or you're mopping, you're not just dusting or sweeping or mopping, you're dusting away the old, the static, the stagnant energy, that stuff that's not really useful anymore. You know, you're sweeping away the bad energy, the negative energy, the stagnant stuff, the negativity, all that sort of stuff. You're sweeping it away and you're mopping it away, and you're bringing in new energy.
Out with the old and with the new.
Exactly, kind of like out with the old and with the new, which we'll probably try and do another video if I don't end up talking about it here on this video. But you know, it's basically, you know, you got to find those little moments when you're doing your housework that makes it magical. When you're doing dishes, you know, maybe you wash your dishes clockwise instead of counterclockwise. When you're washing them, if you wash them by hand, you're washing them this way to kind of maybe enchant the dishes, so that way people have, you know, luck at work, so that way they make more money, so that way they can do what they want to do. They can get a house or an apartment or something, or get a car. You know, maybe you clean your floor in a clockwise or counterclockwise manner, you know, to kind of like counterclockwise get rid of energy, clockwise add good intention and good energy. You know, when you dust, same thing. But at the same time, you know, trying to get everything done can be a struggle in itself, especially if you are trying to do other things at the same time as well. Like today, I wasn't home very much today. And that was because this morning I woke up, had to take my daughter's son's fiance to the hospital.
No.
Or my significant other's son's fiance.
You could just say my stepdaughter-in-law.
Or my stepdaughter-in-law, if you really want to, like, call that. I had to take her to the hospital because she had strep throat, because we have a strep throat thing going through our house right now. Luckily, I'm on antibiotics because I had a sinus infection, so I'm pretty much okay for now. My significant other had strep throat, and she's on antibiotics, so she's okay for now. But that leaves our stepdaughter, our stepson, our grandson, our grandsons, you know, that leaves, and of course, her son, her oldest son, they're all susceptible to getting strep throat. And, you know, today was basically a run to town, take care of some bills, pay some stuff off, or, you know, pay some stuff, take care of some bills, take her to the clinic, the stepdaughter-in-law, and kind of do all that sort of stuff, and then come home, and then have to turn around and leave. Maybe like what, an hour or two later, an hour later.
Yeah.
Yeah, about an hour later, turn around and leave to go pay the mortgage, because the mortgage payment goes up to mom and dad, who live just up the road on a piece of property.
It's always a pleasant surprise, like a pleasant visit, though.
Yeah, which it's nice up there. It's quiet up there. There's no tension or stress up there. You can sit down. You can have a conversation. You can let off your worries and your stress and tension. Excuse me, tired. But you can, you can basically just relax up there, and it's nice. And I did not realize that I had spent 2 hours up there earlier today. So not only had I done that, but I also had to take youngest stepson, to pretty much for the most part. So it took him with me, to go to town to pick up something for dinner, and to pick up a few things at the grocery store and do that sort of stuff, So, but I was out and about and gone all day, and
Your significant other.
my significant other is kind of at the point where she's like, I haven't seen you much in the last couple of days. Like, even last night, I came in after sweeping, after mopping, after bringing in wood, after getting all the dishes done, after working on 2 or 3 loads of laundry, getting them washed, dried, and folded and everything. I literally came in and I kind of like laid down on the bed because my back was kind of hurting a little bit. I was laying at the foot of the bed, and she was talking about some stuff for the business, and I kind of heard her, but I was dozing in and out. And she actually was like, okay, we're not going to do this right now because you're falling asleep. And she even fell asleep at one point.
Yeah.
While she was on the computer doing stuff. And, so we basically didn't see each other all day for the most part, or very little throughout the day.
Literally
And
fall
then
asleep as we're saying
we're falling
goodnight.
asleep as we're like doing, trying to talk about business stuff and saying goodnight. And then we wake up this morning. Luckily, granted we got woken up this morning about 7:30 because of a phone call. But, we get woken up, and then we end up kind of going back to sleep a little bit. And then, pretty much about 10 o'clock, 10:30, it's like, bam, out the door, we're going, and here it is, 12:30?
11:40.
Oh, 11:40? Hey, it's earlier than I thought.
It's an early night.
But here it is, 11:40 at night. We're still awake, and my significant other's still working on business stuff. I decided to do a YouTube video because the majority of the time, I can't really use the internet until this time to be able to do anything really. But I've been also in a spring cleaning mood, and that's part of the reason why I've just been kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this stuff myself, just because 1, I know it'll get done, and 2, I know it'll get done properly, and 3, I don't have to rely on anybody else getting it done and fighting with anybody or arguing with anybody or getting attitude from anybody by asking them to do something. I can just get it done.
I took care of that today, though.
Well, I hope so.
I mean, you didn't hear the conversation with
No, I did
with
not hear
Heidi?
any of the conversations.
You were right here with Heidi.
Oh, well, yeah, but that was,
She's
That
gonna
was
clean the
one
bathroom
person.
tomorrow, and she's not gonna complain about it, and she's not gonna bring up school. Because if she does, she's gonna get a slap.
okay. So we've taken care of one person. We have 6 more to go.
Yeah, because Mama's had enough.
But, it's like, one child, the 13-year-old, his name is Sam. You've seen him on videos before. He doesn't really have a problem helping out. He will help out, like if I'm going to go collect wood, he believes that Shannon and I should be sitting in our room, doing whatever we want to do, working on the business, doing, cooking a meal or whatever, that we shouldn't be going out and collecting wood. But, I can't sit here if we need wood and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go out and grab wood and bring it in. I'm 33. I'm not exactly decrepit and a 70-year-old decrepit man,
Yeah.
or 80-year-old decrepit man, or older, that can barely hobble around without a walker. I'm 33. I'm fairly fit. I mean, yeah, I'm heavy, but I'm fit enough to be able to walk outside and grab 2 or 3 armloads of wood. I'm not, I'm not weak. But, there's really just being a stay-at-home parent slash
Business.
self-employed is,
Not a walk
it's a
in the
hard
park.
balance.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a walk in the park, as my significant other said. It is not something that you can just, that's easy to do. You have to have a schedule, and that's assuming nobody comes to you and says, I need this, or I need your help with this, or oh my God, you're my only option, I need this to happen, which we've had happen a lot
Yes.
in the time that I've been here.
And I
you
can't
know,
say no.
And she can't say no, nor would I want her to say no on some things. There's some other things where I'm like, you can say no to that. That's not, that's not important, dire enough need for you to stop and drop whatever you're doing and go take care of. But, when you have 3 people in this house that actually have their license and 2 of those people have a car, everybody else that's in the house doesn't have a license, doesn't have a car, doesn't have insurance. You're suddenly the one of the possible taxi people. And when you have 3 people that are at work, or 3 people that are at work 5 days a week, granted, luckily, their actual normal shift started on Sunday, on April 1st, so they're working 11 to 7:30. Basically 4 days a week between the 3 of them. There's going to be 3 days between, in the middle of the week where they are off, where you have the parents of the baby and the 7-year-old. They're off work on Tuesday, basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you have the other adult, which is 21, 21-year-old. Her name is Heidi. You've seen her on here before as well. She works, she's off Tuesday, Wednesday, and works Thursday through Monday. And, she's trying to get school done. She's a full-time college student, online, as well as full-time employee at a company. And they all work at the same place. So it's easy for them to just carpool, basically. But, life is a little bit of a chaos, it's chaotic right now. And I know it's temporary, but at the same time, it's very hard to work on a business, because my significant other and I, 5 days a week, or actually no, at this point it's going to be Monday, Friday, at least. Well, no, 5 days a week, majority of the time. We're going to be up basically 18 hours a day, 17 to 18 hours a day. Because we get up at 6 a.m., yeah, we lay back down for an hour or 2 in the morning just to, kind of take that nap after the boys go off to school. There are some days where I stay up and then I don't go to bed till, 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. But the nice thing is that now the schedule is for the people that are working at another place is not until 10 p.m. anymore, and they're getting home till 11. They weren't getting home till 11 or after, because they work about 45 minutes to an hour away from here. But now they're going to be home by like 8:15, 8:30 at night, which is much easier and much better. But we still got to get up at 6 a.m. to get those boys off to school, and we're still going to be working on business and still working on housework and still trying to keep things running and getting things done, because we're the ones that cook dinner, we're the ones that keep up on laundry, we're the ones that try to make sure things are taken care of and done, and keep up on the dishes
And find time for each other in the middle of all that.
Yeah, and that's kind of gotten to the point now where we actually have to try and fit time for each other into the day. Even though if we're in the same house and we sleep in the same bed, our time together, like our personal time together, has dwindled down to maybe like an hour or two a day at most.
Yeah, I told you.
And it's not even a full hour or two. It's like broken. It's like 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here, you know, maybe 20 minutes there, that sort of thing. And that's the way it is right now, at least. But I'm sure it'll change after these patterns are cut out. She'll have more free time because she won't be sitting here. Yeah, but you're going to sew one dress a day,
Yeah.
which that's not going to take you, it's not going to be like an all day thing where you're going to be up until 1 o'clock in the morning sewing.
Right.
But I mean, these patterns just they're tedious. That's what they are. That's all they are. They're just a tedious, monotonous, boring task that needs to be done. You know, but once she gets done with all these dresses, if she sews one a day, you know, some of them are super easy. She might be able to get multiples done in a day. But, you know, if she works on one a day, and then she's going to be working on spinning yarn. Because I've tried to spin yarn. My patience is not that great at it right now. And I don't want to be sitting there focusing on trying to spin one skein of yarn when in the time it takes me to try and even spin half of one, she's already done with one. You know, that's something for me to learn later on, maybe this summer or this next fall or winter when, you know, we have time, when we have product and inventory built up, and I can sit there and I can practice with the roving, and I can figure out how to work with the roving and how to get it evenly spun, and how to knit and how to crochet and do all that sort of stuff, right? You know, I've always been interested in it. I've always wanted to do it. I just, right now, I don't have the time to sit down and learn. Even though once these dresses are done, technically, we'll be at what, $4,000 worth of inventory at least?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be at about 4,000, maybe a little bit over dollars worth of inventory.
But I'll still have
Built
more
up.
stuff working on it.
But
Because
we'll have stuff still working. We'll have stuff still going. There'll still be stuff made.
I don't know how to stop.
Because one, she relaxes by working on things, and you know, two, it's always good to have more product than less product. But the nice thing will be is that we don't have to work super hard on it. We don't have to concentrate and focus on it. We can actually just work on it leisurely. You know, if we don't get anything done for the business one day, you know, that is perfectly fine because we're set for the first couple of shows that we're going to do, you know. But that's the thing is, you know, it's a constant building of inventory. It's not just you hit a goal and then you stop. You hit a goal and then you're like, sweet, what's the next goal? Okay, maybe $6,000 worth of inventory. All right, what's the next goal? Maybe $8,000 or $10,000. What do you feel comfortable with? Because the more inventory you got built, just as a business tip, okay, the more inventory you have built and prepared, the less work you have to do to catch up, especially if you're going to be going to craft shows or craft fairs or Renaissance fairs or farmers markets or anything like that to sell your product, okay? One video that we watched was by another YouTuber, said that basically to do these shows, it would be best to have about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of inventory per show for like a, what, 2 or 3 day or 3 or 4 day show?
Yeah.
So basically almost $1,000 a day.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to be very, very quiet.
Just over there crinkling that paper.
Well, my bag is getting full again, so
Well, that's all paper, right, though?
yeah.
That's all paper, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can use it as burn material. So you don't have to necessarily throw it away.
I'm just putting it in the bag because I don't want to have it scattered all over the bed.
Yeah, no, I know. But, you know, we were watching another YouTuber, and it's basically something like you need basically like $1,000 a day worth of inventory almost, depending on how long the show is. And, you know, Strawberry Festival in Buchanan, West Virginia. By the way, we will be there. Mountain Path Market, LTD Co. is what most of our stuff says and what we go by. On Etsy, it's Mountain Path Market LC. If you're looking for us on Etsy, we only have a few items up right now posted, just because we're trying to keep a majority of our inventory for for our shows. I mean, we can always make more. We're not going to sell out of all the stuff and never make any more, but we're just trying to make sure that we have our inventory for those shows. But if you want something, especially a custom order, please let us know. You can message us on Etsy. You can message me here on YouTube in the direct messaging. If you want something custom, and we can, correspond, come up with a price. We'll stay in contact with you, and we'll kind of go from there. We can do anything from, candles. We're still working on figuring, on hand dipping and coming up with designs and whatnot like that for carved candles if we're going to do any.
I would love to do
But
carved
I mean,
candles.
we obviously want to get into it, but it's not something we can do right now at this very moment. But clothing or yarn or hand dipped candles or smudge sticks, which we'll be offering online only. Divination candles, which for dripping wax into water so that way you can read the wax. Doing all that sort of stuff. We will definitely be doing all of that. And if that's something that you're interested in, you can check out our shop and whatnot. But we're going to be in Buchanan, West Virginia at the Strawberry Festival, which draws thousands of people every year. And it's a 4-day event.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a 4-day event. And, it's going to be in a city, not a city like I'm used to. Oh, hey, somebody's here. Hello.
Ooh,
I don't know who it is because I didn't see their name.
is it James from Ireland?
Is it James from Ireland, my girlfriend says? Or my significant other says? I'll find out in a minute. I'm sure they may post something. But, we're going to be there, hanging out, selling our stuff. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to be in Philippi, West Virginia, which is actually where we live. We live about a half hour outside of town, up in the mountains, up in the Appalachian Mountains, or Appalachian Mountains, depending on where you're at. And we'll be at the Blue and Gray reunion there, selling stuff as well from our shop. But as far as that goes, when you're business tips, we're figuring out still. We're not pros by any means.
Yeah.
Not yet. I mean, it's going to take time. It's going to take practice. It's going to take patience. And I'm sure our first show is going to go through and we're going to get done with it. We're going to be like, wow, we could do something like this a lot better. Let's go ahead and, make some adjustments. And then our next show, we could be like, okay, that worked better, but we still need to adjust or change or do this, that, or the other thing. So it just really kind of depends. You just got to look at what you're doing and then figure out a better way to do it. Or if it's not broke, don't fix it. But we are going to try some pillar candles. I just don't know when that's going to happen. But we bought some PVC pipe that I'm excited to try because they are yay tall, so about a foot tall, and they're about 2 and 3 inch diameter?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 inch and a 3 inch diameter.
Did you find out who it is?
No,
going
they
to?
left. But there's a 2 inch and a 3 inch diameter, which will be big. They'll be huge. I'm looking forward to making those candles and actually test them out. And I know there's a shop. I can't remember where it's at. I think it's somewhere over here on the East Coast. Maybe New York, I think, or
It's
something.
in New York, if you're talking about the ones that make the
Glittered carved
glitter
candles.
carved candles, yeah.
Yeah, they're over in New York. I can't remember the name of the company or the name of the shop or anything like that. But they offer carved candles that they fill with glitter and they slip into a jar. I thought about offering something similar, but I don't want to step on their idea, for one. And for two, our candles would be much, much bigger than theirs. They would be more considered like a floor candle, maybe even.
Yeah.
Oh, unless you want to use it as an altar candle and a working candle, and then you have a foot long, 3 inch freaking candle. It's like that big that you could set on your altar and use as a working candle, and you can carve and do whatever you want on it. But what's nice about having a shop that's owned by pagans that actually practice witchcraft is, you know, we enchant and we cleanse and we basically do all of our stuff that you would normally do anyway. I mean, you can still do it, and you can still enchant, and you can still cleanse and still purify and protect, and, you know, do all that, consecrate and empower and do all that yourself. But, you know that it's coming from a place that keeps that in mind and that's conscious of it, right? Like, we're not, when we're doing wax, we're not just sitting there just be like, oh, mix the wax with the dye, and then we're taking the wicks and dipping them in, and we're throwing them on a, you know, drying rack. You know, we're actually thinking and
Positive
intent. You know, we're thinking positive thoughts, and we're, you know, putting intent into these products that we make.
What kind of home will they find?
You know, what kind of home will they end up in? Are they going to be, you know, are they going to end up in a shop somewhere that, you know, somebody else ends up selling them because they're interested in our products, you know, and they want to carry them? Are they going to end up in somebody's home that's actually going to, you know, understand the significance of our products, you know? And we're not trying to gouge anybody's face off with any of the prices. We're not trying to take an arm and a leg with any of the prices. I mean, obviously, we want to be able to survive on this, but at the same time, we're not looking to be millionaires by the end of the year. We're looking to be able to afford all of our bills, have a little bit of money left over, and, you know, get a savings going, and have fun doing what we're doing. I mean, right now we're stressed because we're going to our first show ever, you know, and we're going to be putting all of our stuff on display for everybody to see, and it's basically going to end up being judged by thousands of people.
And I tend to judge myself harshly.
And I do too. My significant other said she judges herself harshly, and I do too. I'm a perfectionist, so I tend to push myself fairly hard when it comes to certain things, and I need to realize that, you know, I can push myself as hard as I want, but there's just going to be some people that just don't like the stuff that we have, and there's going to be people that love the stuff that we have regardless.
We've already run into that.
And we've already kind of run into that a little bit. She has a friend that actually lives in Ohio who also has a friend, or has a friend that actually was moving into a new house, and she needed a smudge stick to cleanse the house, and she needed a necklace? We did a necklace, right? Yeah, a necklace for her little boy. And, you know, we told her, we're like, okay, well, friends and family discount, this is what we're going to do. And she goes, no, you're charging me the full price plus shipping. And, you know, we wanted to offer her a friends and family discount just because she's a friend, and she was getting it for another friend. And she was, you know, she's fully prepared to purchase our stuff at full price. And, you know, our smudge sticks are not small. Like this here, this is a smudge stick. It's not going to be the smudge stick we're selling, but this is one of the ones that my significant other made, and this is like half, right?
Yeah, that's half.
Yeah, this is about half of what was originally there. You know, look how thick that thing is. The thing is huge, you know? And that's one smudge stick, you know? In Washington State, you sell something half, like a quarter of that size, and you're going to be spending like $12, $13. And we're offering a smudge stick that's, you know, about, what was it, 9 inches long, or 8, 10 inches long, or something like that? Yeah, it was like 8, it was between 8 and 10 inches long. And they're thick. They're, you know, still thick size. And we're offering them for, well, our price is a little higher because we, you know, the price that we spent on our herbs at the time, because we couldn't really find anything cheaper. We're selling them for what, $19.99?
Hang on.
We're looking right now. Give us a second. Hold on 1 second, please. Elevator music. Elevator music.
Yep, $19.99.
Yeah, so we're selling them for $19.99 just because, you know, the cost of the stuff was a little more expensive than we thought.
But we found
But we found a site where we can actually get stuff like kind of wholesale, or at least a lot cheaper than we paid for originally. Because we use sage.
Still dog.
We use what? Sage and
Sage,
lavender
and
and sweetgrass.
I'm Native American and I like the smell.
And my significant other said because she's Native American, she likes the smell of it. Which, you know, I like the smell of sweetgrasses too. It's nice. It's definitely better than just straight up sage. We're also looking at Palo Santo sticks because, you know, I have a ton of these little sticks here that I purchased back in Washington. They're fairly inexpensive. You know, we can get our hands on, what was it, 25 pounds?
Yes.
Yeah, we can get our hands on 25 pounds, which is a ton of these things. And we'd be able to sell them for fairly inexpensive. You know, in Washington State, they sell for $1.50, $2 a piece, when it doesn't even cost that much per one. So, you know, here the price ranges are a little bit different. The price, you know, because, you know, we're in West Virginia, we're in the Appalachian Mountain area. You know, a historically fairly rundown area of the country where people don't have, you know, tons of money, and there's a culture all onto its own here. But, you know, and everybody thinks that they're, you know, mountain hillbillies that play banjos and, you know, eat biscuits and gravy every morning. It's like, no, they're not.
Biscuits and gravy is probably true.
Well, biscuits and gravy might be true. I mean, shit, I'd eat biscuits and gravy every day if I knew I was going to die of a heart attack at one point. But, you know, but I mean, they're all about a good hearty meal. They're all about getting the work that needs to be done.
Well,
And, you know,
it's in the Appalachians, like up here in the mountains,
mhm.
it's, you know, not just poverty, but tradition. I mean,
Yeah.
there's you run into families who, you know, have coal mined. All, you know, they can trace all their lineage back to nothing but coal miners.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got the traditions of the holistic medicines.
Mhm.
You know, and the granny ladies.
Yeah.
You know, the granny women.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a rich culture here that's alive that people have forgotten about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of the things that kind of draw me to it,
Yeah.
you know. And when we do move, I'm going to miss it,
Yeah. Definitely.
you know.
So, if anybody that didn't hear what she said, I'm going to basically say, you know, I'm going to paraphrase or summarize kind of what she said. You know, because I said that the area is historically poor. I mean, it's usually poverty, and at least in the Appalachian area or the Appalachian area. But the Appalachian Mountains range all the way from, what is it, Georgia?
Yep, up to
Georgia up to like Maine. So it's a big mountain range. It's kind of like the West Coast. You know, it's the East Coast version of like the, what was it, the Rocky Mountains, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, basically. And I'm sure there's people that live in the Rocky Mountains and, you know, have a similar culture or a West Coast version of this culture here. But a lot of the cultures here, or a lot of stuff here, is tradition as well. You know, it's culinary things that people have had for all their lives, and jobs that people have had, you know, multiple generations have done the same trade, like coal mining or, you know, coal mining or woodworking or farming or something along those lines. You know, they trace family history back, you know, multiple generations have done the same thing. And you also have folk healing or holistic healing here. You know, you have the granny traditions, which are the ones, you know, this is the folk medicine, the ones that, you know, like take a teaspoon of vinegar if your stomach's upset sort of deal, sort of stuff, you know. And she said she's going to have a hard time when we move because we are going to move back to Washington at some point. You know, there's no set date on that, but we will move back to Washington at some point. But right now we're focusing on the business. And, you know, I miss Washington State. I took the beauty there for granted. It is beautiful here. I do love it here. I like the feel of the area here, even though our situation is chaotic at the moment. But at the same time, you know, Washington State for me is, you know, the state itself is home because that's where I grew up. And I do love it here. It is nice here. I'm enjoying myself here. you know, but everything I've ever known is in Washington. And, you know, we can still have the same sort of lifestyle there that we do here because we both of us, both my significant other and I, we have the same ideals and the same thoughts and the same desires of wanting to live in a mountain area and live in a country area and have not very many people around and, you know, have a cook stove.
Be self-sufficient.
Basically be self-reliant, self-sufficient, and off the grid if even possible. You know, have a house with solar panels so that way we can have our own energy, and if the power goes out from, you know, for everybody else, we're sitting here, you know, perfectly fine with energy, you know, selling the leftover stuff to the state or the county or the city. You know, having a wood stove, having a cook stove, so if we do end up losing power for whatever reason, you know, then we can still keep the house warm and still cook meals and still, you know, be fine. You
My
know?
dad keeps trying to talk me out of my cook stove, but he's got one in his kitchen.
Yeah. Basically, she said her dad tries to keep talking her out of having a cook stove, but they've got one in their kitchen sitting there. Same, is it basically, it's a little bit bigger.
It's a lot bigger. And theirs has water reservoirs, so it heats up water that she uses to mop the floors with.
Oh, so they have one in their kitchen, much bigger than the one that we have here. The one that we have here is out in the living room. At some point, I'll probably take you out there so you guys can see what it looks like. But if you've watched any Pioneer shows or anything like that where they have a wood stove and they use it to cook, it's usually going to be that similar sort of thing where you have to use a little hook thing to lift the plate off, and then you can feed, you know, wood or coal or whatever in there, and then you can put it back on. You open the ash pan door to pull the ashes out or to let the air flow. You can turn the oven on and off, so you push it in to turn it on, you pull it out to turn it off. And you have airflow on the sides that you can turn so you can have more or less air. But I mean, it does need to be cleaned every now and then. You need to take the pipe, you know, you need to let it cool down all the way, take the pipes out, clean all the little holes and crevices, and you're not wiping it down and getting it clean. You're just scraping out the ash basically and scraping out the soot. And you know, you're getting to the point where it's like, okay, you know, you did all this cleaning, you know, you get it all clean, and then you go and you turn it around, you start another fire in it, and it tends to burn a lot better, and it tends to burn a lot more cleanly and catch more evenly, as opposed to having to struggle to get the fire started. But the one they have up at her mom and dad's has a water reservoir where you can actually heat the water, where you can actually use it to mop the floor with, or other things, I'm sure, as well. Dishes and other stuff like that. So, you know, the wood stove is heating the water that she'll use to do dishes or mop the floor, or
it saves on the well.
You know, yeah, it's
in the hot water tank.
Yeah, it saves on the hot water tank. It saves from the well, you know, all that sort of stuff, because they use a well. And you know, here we're on city water, but you know, if we can figure out a way to be self-sufficient and self-reliant and not focus on or worry about, you know, if the power goes out or anything like that, we're perfectly happy and fine. We'd be sitting high and mighty, basically, being like, oh, your power went out, that's a shame. I have power aplenty over here, you know, sort of deal. And even then, if power were to go out, we make our own candles.
We have enough candles to supply every room in this house 10 times over.
Yeah, we have. What she said, which is funny because it's true as well, is that we have enough candles right now. If we were not in business for ourselves, if we were not in business and we were not making candles to sell for business, we have enough candles in this house right now to basically supply every room for probably a week straight of just burning candles for light. Like, that's how many candles we have. And it's funny thinking about it, because candle making is not something that a lot of people just do because they feel like doing. You know, spinning yarn is not just something somebody does because they feel like doing it. knitting, crocheting, making medicinal teas and steams, and doing bath salts and sewing clothes,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
If the world ever goes backwards and time tends to regress where people aren't able to get to the stores and stuff, we'll be sitting pretty good because, I can sew, I can spin, I can
Yeah.
make you socks, knit you something.
Yeah. So what she said is
They're
basically,
buying
if
skills.
yeah, exactly. What my significant other said basically, or what Shannon said, was that basically, if anything were to ever happen, like if some sort of catastrophe or disaster were to happen, hopefully it won't, but if it does, where power gets knocked out, there's no power grid, there's no infrastructure, there's nothing along those lines. Yes, there will be an initial portion of chaos, but after that initial settle, her and I and this family that lives in this house will be fine. We'll be fantastic because we're taking the time to learn how to deal and do these dyeing arts, how to spin yarn, how to make your own candles, how to hand dip or do jar candles, how to knit, how to crochet, how to sew your own clothes, how to leather work, how to woodwork, how to go out and collect plants and herbs and roots and turn them into teas for medicine, doing all that stuff, gardening. Basically, if the world were to go ape shit right now and a month down the line everything kind of settled a bit and we were, things kind of started to not necessarily go back to normal, but things started to kind of like develop trade and barters and stuff like that, we would be set. We would be absolutely set. Even if we were to convert everything over to solar power, we would be probably the only house with power in the area. And, because with solar power, unless it's an EMP, you can still run power because it's not grid power. It's self-sufficient off the grid power. She could still use an electric sewing machine.
Although I don't have to.
Even though she doesn't have to, because she has a foot pedal powered sewing machine out in the freaking living room that she could use if she really wanted to. Her mom and dad live just up the street. They have 120 acres full of trees. We wouldn't need wood anytime soon, and game, and he has tons of guns. And, it would basically be, we would be self-sufficient. We would be completely 100% be able to rely on ourselves to survive and not need anybody outside of the family. Granted, we would have a little bit of a hard time with the herb situation because there's not a lot of herbs around the area that I'm used to using. But I still have access to those herbs at least, because I have a chest full of them. And I'm sure there's some things that are around that I'd be able to pull up and identify and be able to use in general. And, washing clothes by hand, drying them out in the sun, doing dishes by hand, drying them with a towel, making clothes, doing all that. I don't even know how we got on this topic to begin with.
We were talking about dyeing arts and dyeing crafts, okay? Like, for instance, when we were talking about the families and how some of these families have, generations of coal miners or
Yes.
generations of lumberjacks
There
and
we
things
go.
like that.
That's okay.
My great-great-great-grandfather was a master copper, master blacksmith, master tanner, master carpenter. I mean, he was
Wait, was he a cobbler or copper worker?
copper worker.
Oh, okay.
Like, he made the copper pots.
So
and
basically, her
kettles and stuff.
great grandfather was a badass, is what I'm hearing. He was a master copper worker, master blacksmith, master
Tanner, and
tanner,
carpenter.
and carpenter. Like, he could basically go out into the middle of nowhere and survive.
He
Is essentially what it
actually
was.
founded Cove Creek, North Carolina.
Oh, helped founded Coal Creek or Coe Creek?
Cove Creek.
Coe Creek in North Carolina, apparently. So that makes his badass level, 10 times higher, which is awesome. But, it's everything comes down to traditions and how you grew up. And me being a city boy, not necessarily like urban city, but, suburban city boy, I've never really had to go and split wood, like collect wood and split wood and then bring it in and go from there. I'd usually go to the store and buy already split wood or go, do that whole thing. Because, when I was younger, I did live in a house that did use forced air heat, but a majority of the time, to try and keep the bill down, we tried to, make sure that we were using a wood stove, especially on the really cold nights. So, I have used wood heat before. It's not my first time using wood heat, but it's my first time using wood heat in this capacity and this size for, basically every day. But it is, the weather is getting warmer. It's slowly, it's fighting back, but, it's at your life and see where you stand. If you have a job that you have to get up and go to every day, on your days off, try and get your housework done and get it done quick. So that way the rest of the time you can spend time relaxing. When I worked at the bank, or at, in Washington State, when I lived in Washington State, when I worked at the bank, my last day of the week usually was Sunday. Usually, or at least I tried to have it be a Sunday, but it was only a 3-hour or 4-hour day. But what I did is I tried to get all my housework done Sunday after I got off work. Go home, do laundry, do any cleaning that needed to be done, change sheets, do all that sort of stuff. That way, when my 2 days off came, I could just sit there and do absolutely nothing on my 2 days off. And I could actually relax. Here, it's a bit different because you got to bring in wood every day. You got to do the dishes every day. You got to do, laundry pretty much every day. You got to do everything. You got to do pretty much all those basic household chores every day, sometimes even multiple times a day. Otherwise, you're not going to keep up on them, and you're going to get behind real quick. And if you only have 1 or 2 people working on it all the time, in addition to other things, it's going to get overwhelming real quick. But
Have you
just
found?
stick in there.
Have you found? I mean, in that, because I used to sit and talk with you while you were relaxing,
Mhm.
and when you were relaxing, then half the time you were either watching a show or you were playing a game,
Mhm.
an online game. But since being here and since starting the business and having the workload that we do, have you discovered that your sense of what relaxing is has changed?
So Shannon's question was, when I was in Washington, my version of relaxing was either watching TV shows or watching movies or playing video games, doing that sort of stuff. And since I've been here, workload has changed, and in that my workload has changed, has my version or vision of relaxing has that changed? And I'm going to say yes, it has, because before I would get done at the end of the day, I'd get home, I would sit down at my computer, I'd be eating dinner, I'd watch a couple shows or 2 or 3 shows or whatever, depending on how long they were, and then, or I would play a video game or something, and then I would just brush my teeth, get into bed, go to sleep, get up the next morning, do the same thing. You know, here, depending on what's going on, you know, it's get up at 6 a.m., get the boys ready to go, come back to bed, lay down for an hour or two, excuse me, get up, get something to eat, go see what needs to be done as far as housework goes. Does wood need to be brought in? You know, did I have boys bring in wood, or am I going to go collect wood? Are there any dishes in the sink that need to be dried, you know, washed, dried, and put away? You know, is there any laundry that's sitting in the laundry room that needs to be done? Is there any sweeping or mopping that needs to be done? Anything like that? You know, I need to take my dog out. I need to water my dog. I need to feed my dog. And then, you know, it's pretty much on to checking notifications on the phone, checking, you know, business stuff here and there. And then throughout the day, it tends to be kind of like, okay, what are we going to work on the business today? You know, half the time it's me, you know, right now at least anyway, you know, half the time it's me spending time with her while she's working. Excuse me. Spending time with her while she's working on things that she needs to get done, because the things that she's doing, I don't know how to do. And me trying to learn them right now is going to be pointless, because all I'll do is just mess it up and make more work for her to do, which we don't need right now. You know, could I sit out there and try and spin yarn? Sure. That the kids will be gone at school and the other people will be gone at work, and the other child may be either one at work or two watching the baby. You know, it's kind of like splits the household up when her and I like to chit chat and talk and, you know, whatnot when we work, because that's part of our dynamic. That's how we work well together. You know, she doesn't want to be sitting out there alone spinning yarn or dipping candles or, you know, knitting or crocheting or anything like that, while I'm back here, you know, watching YouTube videos and doing YouTube videos and everything else. You know, so, you know, our dynamic works well if we are together working as a couple. But there are some times where we are not able to do things as a couple, like today and yesterday, where I was outside of the house a majority of the day, and she's here piled under basically, you know, folders of patterns to cut out and piece together, so that way.
Show them the box, the crate there.
No, that's good. I'm not gonna. That thing's heavy. I'm not gonna lift it. But she has a crate full, like hundreds of patterns that, you know, that are already cut out, and then she's cutting out some new ones, because these ones need to be cut out because of the fact that they are going to be ones that she's going to sew for Strawberry Festival and Blue and Gray. And so, you know, she needs to get these patterns cut out first, otherwise she's not going to be able to cut them out on fabric. And if she can't cut them out on fabric, then they can't be sewn. And if they can't be sewn, they're just sitting here, making no money at all. And so for her and I, especially the last couple of days, we've had no time together at all. And it's basically been more of a, you know, I wish I had more time with you. Oh, I know I wish I had more time with you. Okay, I gotta go do this thing over here now because it needs to get done. You know, mostly it's been laundry and dishes, and then, you know, bringing in wood, you know, that sort of stuff. Because it's, you know, that's what part of running a household is. You know, I'm the man, the head of the household. You know, if nobody else is going to do it, it's my job to get it done. Or if nobody else is able to do it, or nobody else is willing to jump up and take care of it, or, you know, anything like that, it's my job to make sure that it gets done. And I won't delegate it to somebody else if I know I'm going to get a hard time about it. I'll just do it myself and get it done and be done with it. Because I don't have the time and the luxury of just arguing to get it done, when in reality I can take 10 or 15 minutes to do it and get it done and be done with it, and then it's done. And I can move on to the next thing. And now that everything's kind of well in hand, in reality, any dishes that pop up, you know, unless it's a giant amount of dishes, but any dishes that pop up takes about 5 minutes for me to wash and dry and put away, depending on how many there are. You know, sweeping in the, you know, I can sweep in the morning while I'm sending the boys off to school. Don't have to worry about mopping really, but I can at least sweep. You know, I can get the fire going. So, you know, do that sort of thing depending on how hot or cold it is outside. You know, if it's hot outside, obviously the fire doesn't need to be started. If it's cold, obviously fire needs to be started so that way you can get some heat in the house and kind of build up the heat of the house. You know, it's all about efficiency. It's all about how you get things done, as opposed to looking at your list going, oh God, I gotta get all this shit done today. You can look at your list and be like, okay, what's going to take me the longest and what's going to take me the shortest amount of time, and what can I do that's going to allow me to get more done in the shorter amount of time. Because if you have things like laundry and dishes and dinner and wood and sweeping and mopping and dusting, then why would you not bring wood in first and then get a little laundry started and then dust and then sweep and then mop, and then by the time you're done doing all that sort of stuff, you can throw that load of water from the washer to the dryer, throw another load in the washer, and then you can probably dry the dishes and put them away, or do the dishes if, you know, unless I already said that. You know, do the dishes up, wash them, dry them, put them away. And then you can sit down and relax for 30 minutes until that dryer goes off. You know, pull the clothes out, change the clothes from the washer to the dryer, put another load in the washer, fold the clothes, get them put away, and then you have 45 minutes or so, or maybe even more, to sit down and relax.
And I was actually getting irritated at you earlier because you were doing that. Because I really wanted to just have time with you, and it seemed like you were kept having more stuff to do, and I was getting mad that nobody else was stepping up.
What, today? Yeah, so Shannon said she was actually getting irritated at me because it seemed like I was finding more and more stuff to do, and nobody else was stepping up to like take care of it and do it. Because my mindset is, get it done, it's done, and I don't have to worry about it, and I can actually sit down and relax, as opposed to trying to get somebody else to do it, and then either one, they say, okay, I'm busy, I won't be able to do it right now, or two, they whine and bitch and moan about it, and then they get it done, but it takes them 15 minutes to get started or more, you know, or three, they just don't do it and they pretend like they can't hear what you're saying. And for me, that is, you know, my dad raised me to just get it done. Just get it done. The sooner you get it done, the sooner you're done with it, and the sooner you can move on and do something else. And it's frustrating, but, you know, and I can see where Shannon is coming from when she says something like that. But at the same time, the only reason that I've been so busy trying to get the housework stuff taken care of and caught up is because there was so much to actually do, that now that it's basically caught up, you know, tomorrow it won't take me 4 or 5 hours to get everything done. It'll probably take me like a couple hours in total from, you know, going out, getting wood, getting the fire started, doing any dishes that need to be done, getting a load of laundry, you know, into the washer, you know, because right now there's clothes in the dryer that are going to sit there, and I'm going to basically let them sit there till tomorrow morning to fold them, because I don't need to fold them tonight.
Thank you.
You know, I want to. I'm really actually wanting to just go grab them and fold them, but I'm not going to fold them tonight because I don't need to. There's no other clothes that need to be done other than our basket over here, which I can do tomorrow. And that is not going to take any time at all because I don't need to sit there. I'm not hand washing my clothes. I'm running them through a machine, and the machine takes about an hour to wash, and it takes about an hour to an hour and a half to dry, you know, in the dryer here. And that's it. I'm not going to stand there and wait for it to get done. I'm going to do other things, you know, like work on the business or spend time with my significant other here. You know, I got to run to town tomorrow to go get a couple things, so I'll probably end up doing that. But, you know, it's all about being efficient and being, you know, working your list from point A to point B to point C all the way through till you get to the end of it in the easiest path possible. Because if you look at, oh my God, I have 20 things to do today, instead of freaking out about the fact that you have 20 things to do today, get your things that are going to take the longest done, you know, started, and then work on some things that are easy and not going to take you a long time while that other thing is going. And before you know it, your list is going to be done, and you only spent 2 or 3 hours getting it all done, and then you're done and you're caught up. You know? Now, if you're in a situation where you're like, okay, well, not only do I need to do this, this, and this, I also need to, like, literally clean the room, clean the carpet, wash the windows, you know, do all that sort of stuff, then, you know, yeah, obviously it's going to take you a bit longer, and you should be able to do, like, one room at a time, you know, one room a day over a week, and you'll be perfectly fine and everything will be good. But once you're caught up, and once you're in a routine and a schedule, you're going to find you're not spending much time getting stuff done at all. It's a part of the routine. It's getting up, doing your chores, and then spending the rest of the day doing what you want to do, you know? And if that means running to town, or if that means working on the business, or if that means, you know, sitting on your ass doing nothing, then that's what it means. You know, in my case, it means maybe I should start doing more YouTube videos, or maybe I should start, you know, figuring out other things to do related to the business.
While you do more dipped candles.
Or, yeah, do my YouTube videos while I'm doing dipped candles. You know, doing that sort of stuff. Because I've been feeling that there's a lack in my life recently. I've been feeling like there's a lack of magic and practice and, you know, all things witchy, just because of the fact that we've been so busy and consumed by tension and stress and, you know, a whole bunch of negative energy and just a whole bunch of just going on, that, you know, it's kind of like we wake up in the morning and we're like, oh God, why? And then we go through the day as, okay, let's see if we can get this done. And then before you know it, it's time to do dinner, and we got to stop what we're doing, go cook dinner, go get it done, you know, which, you know, could take an hour or two. And then we turn around and we go back to doing what we were originally doing, and we're like, okay, well, we can only do it for so long before we have to be quiet.
You know, Joy,
And then we're just tired.
that would be a really good video to do with Nico.
What?
If you co-hosted one with him
Mm-hmm.
on, you know, how to balance your business with
Work and business life.
with your magic life and keeping the negativity out, because
Yeah.
I mean he's
doing the same thing
doing the same
essentially.
thing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So, and if anybody that didn't hear that, because she is, you know, she's not across the room, but she is probably like 15 feet away from me. So I don't know if the microphone is picking up what she's saying. But what she said is that, so another YouTuber on here, a friend of mine, his name is Nico. I'm sure all of you, or a majority of you, know who he is, because I'm sure probably a majority of you already subscribed to him. If you don't know who he is, it's Scarlet Moon or Scarlet Moon Magic. He has 2 channels. If you find one, you'll find the other one. His name is Nico. He lives in Washington State. We actually went to school together when we were younger, middle school, I believe. But he's been a practicing witch for damn near just like maybe like a year or 2 longer than I have, maybe. So, but yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He's very knowledgeable. He's, you know, he has his own business. He runs his own business. But she was saying that, you know, maybe he and I can try and co-host a show or do a show together where we talk about balancing work-life magic balance, or craft balance, basically, like finding the time to work your business and have your home life and get all your home, your home chores done or your to-do list done, and then in addition to, fitting in time to do your practices, to do your beliefs, to do your rituals, to do your, meditations, your cleanses, your all that stuff, which, I got to try and get in contact with them, just to see if you'd be interested in doing something like that, to be a really good idea. I think that'd be an awesome video. That'd be awesome. Just, figuring out, especially if you're interested in trying to start your own business and do your own thing, and, you're practicing witch, or, even if you're not a practicing witch and you're a pagan, and you have your, you have the holidays that we pretty much all celebrate all year round. We have eight holidays out of 12 months, and that's, major holidays. That's not just the full moons or anything like that, or the Sabbats or the Esbats, or, the main holidays like the solstices and equinoxes and anything else, So that'd be good. That'd be a good video. I should try and contact him and talk to him about that. But, for me, at least anyway, balancing work, life, and magical practice, I've been struggling to find that balance. Because, for me, I will always do the housework first. And that's because if you don't have a happy household, you're not going to have it. If you don't have a happy, stress-free household, you're not going to have a happy life. You're not going to be able to get anything done because you're always worried about shit. And so, for me, my focus is make sure the household is running smoothly. Once it's running smoothly, then we can work on business. And once the business stuff is kind of being handled and taken care of and dealt with and running as well, then I have time to kind of let my mind wander and start going through and being like, hey, you know what? I haven't done oracle card reading in a while. I'm going to do one on myself. Or, or the cards called to me and I actually have a chance to actually sit down and do a reading. Or, clean the altar. Like I just cleaned the altar last night, because it hadn't been touched in a while and it just needed to be cleaned and reorganized and everything re-cleansed just to cleanse it, just to give it a good, once over, clean the, the mirror on the altar here, do all that sort of stuff, because I actually, I was in a cleaning mood. I'd already gotten pretty much a majority of the cleaning done. It was just down to the bare essentials, basically. Like, okay, everything else is done. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and get it done now and kind of go from there. It just kind of, you need to have a list and you need to look at it on longest to shortest. What's going to take you the longest amount of time? Start those. Exact same thing for cooking a meal. Anybody that's watched my kitchen witchery videos, especially if I've done anything from start to finish, they're going to see that I do things in a certain way. I'm going to do things that are going to take the longest first and get them started, and then I'm going to do things that take the least amount of time last because they take the least amount of time. That's how you get a plate, that's how you get a meal out and have it all be hot and all be, warm, or at least warm or hot without, serving a meal that's going to have cold components to it, Last night I did, last night, in addition to sweeping, mopping, bringing in wood, getting the fire going and keeping it going, driving around, collecting, going to here, there, the other, everywhere, getting laundry done, doing dishes, doing all that. I also got dinner done, and it was barbecue chicken with broccoli and cheese sauce. And, the chicken was still frozen when I put it in the oven. So I knew that was going to take probably like an hour and a half. But, and we use vegetables the majority of the time for our stuff, just because it's easier when we have so many people than getting fresh stuff, and it tends to not go bad. as quickly or as easily as the fresh stuff does. And it was like, the homemade element on that, besides the chicken having barbecue sauce that was already pre-made, or the chicken was just plain chicken. It was seasoned. I put already made barbecue sauce on it, and the broccoli being frozen, I made a cheese sauce to go over the top of it. It was something simple, easy, didn't take any time at all, and it was a homemade component that I put over the broccoli that gave it that sort of like extra step, that extra something, so that way wasn't just like, okay, here's your barbecue meat and here's your frozen vegetable and eat, have dinner. Last time we had cheese sauce.
Oh my god.
Last time we had cheese sauce, her stepdaughter, or her daughter, my stepdaughter, we asked her to do dinner because, we asked her, like, hey, can you please do dinner like a couple nights a week, just so that way we have time to focus on the business so we can get things done. And she goes, yeah, sure.
She was happy to help.
And she was happy to help. And, she heated up some potatoes from the night before, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, and she came in with this beautiful looking plate.
And she came in with this beautiful looking plate. So basically what it was potatoes that had already been cooked the night before, they'd already been roasted. So she just needed to basically technically cut them up a little bit and fry them up a little bit to make fried potatoes. It was broccoli with a cheese sauce on it. Mm-hmm. And
yes.
What was it? What was the last bit? Kielbasa, right?
Yes.
Or something like that? Kielbasa, yeah. And she came in, she goes, okay, here you go. Here's this plate. I'm like,
and she was like all excited.
Fantastic.
She had done it.
Yeah, she had done it. She had gotten it all done. And I was like, okay, fantastic.
With a screaming baby.
Yeah, while she's also watching a baby as well. And, I think, did you take a bite of the potato first?
Yeah, the potatoes were great.
Yeah, well, the potatoes were kind of dry.
Right. And Sam came back and he goes, this broccoli is not cooked. And
No, I took a bite first, and I was like, oh my god, this broccoli is raw. And Shannon, of course, first thought was, well, at least she tried, thinking that it's just kind of like undercooked. Until she took a bite of it and goes, oh my god, this broccoli is actually raw. Like, not cooked at all, raw. And then Sam comes in and goes, the broccoli was really crunchy. And we're like, yeah, because it was raw. It wasn't cooked. And he's like, oh my god, it's not cooked. What are you trying to do? Get us sick? And I'm like, whoa. You eat broccoli raw is not going to kill you. It's not like meat. It's not like chicken. You can't get sick from raw broccoli as long as it's cleaned properly. But we told her, we're like, you need to cook the broccoli first before you do that. She goes, well, I thought the cheese sauce was going to be warm enough to kind of heat it up.
She thought, well, because we eat raw broccoli with ranch all the time.
Well, and we eat raw broccoli with ranch all the time, so she figured, okay, well, raw broccoli would be fine. But, so we're sitting here and we're crunching away on our raw broccoli with cheese sauce. And the problem with her problem with cooking is that she doesn't season anything at all. So the cheese sauce was literally just...
Cheese sauce.
Was just literally flour, like basically because I told her, she was like, how do I make a cheese sauce? I'm like, okay, you do, butter with flour, like you start a gravy. Basically, you're making a gravy. You add some milk in, and then you add cheese to it and let it melt, and then you're good to go. And, of course, there was no pepper, no salt, no garlic, no onion, nothing in the cheese sauce. And the broccoli was raw.
Yes.
And the potatoes were kind of dry because there was nothing on them.
But the kielbasa was perfect.
But the kielbasa was good because it was kielbasa. And, and it's not that, and I'm not blaming her. I'm not mad at her. I'm not irritated. I mean, she cooked a dinner in the best way that she knew how. But last night I made dinner and I was like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to make this cheese sauce. Like, I'm going to make this cheese sauce and it's going to go over this nice cooked broccoli and, with a barbecue chicken, and, it'll be a kind of a hearty dinner without actually, having any sort of real carbohydrate to it. And, I looked over at Shannon and I was like, hey, try the broccoli and the cheese sauce. And so she took a bite of it and she goes, oh my God, this is the best cheese sauce ever.
So it was like to die for.
She's like, oh my God, it's to die for. And I was like, yeah, that's right. That's how you do cheese sauce. Because, I mean, and I love, because I've been in the kitchen since I was like 16 at least, making full dinners at the age of 16. You know, I was in the kitchen much earlier than that, doing other things, you know, just because I'd always been interested. And then I went to culinary school because, you know, I liked to cook and I wanted to learn how to cook, and I was always interested in cooking, and I came from a family that liked to cook and was always interested in cooking. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I want to do culinary school. And then I went to culinary school and found out, okay, cooking professionally is not really my thing. You know, baking professionally might be my thing. But then I became across herbalists and herbalism. And it was kind of like, oh, this calls to me a little bit more than cooking does, but I can still combine those skills. And I can use those herbs in a medicinal way in food and still get the same effect, as opposed to focusing only on teas or steams or compresses or, you know, anything like that. I can focus on also putting them in food and having them do the same, have the same effect that they would if I were to use them in some other way. So I'm very grateful that I learned how to cook and that I went to culinary school, because it gave me some skills that I can use later on in life, for much later on in life, no matter what situation I'm in. Because, you know, if you get a plate of food that has not been seasoned, no salt, no pepper, no garlic, no onion, no nothing, and you get that plate, the first thing you're going to go for is a freaking bowl of salt.
Do not look at me. Don't look at me.
As I kind of nudge my head towards my significant other who puts salt on everything unless I tell her to taste it first, and I've actually oversalted it.
But not just any salt.
But not just any salt, sea salt. But, you know, but you have me who seasons things to my flavor, which is in most cases
Spicy.
usually fairly good, can be kind of spicy sometimes, but it's not overly spicy. But I tend to salt and pepper and garlic and onion and season things, you know, with care, to the fact that, you know, I don't use a lot of salt because and I've never used a lot of salt just because I'm not a big salt eater. However, my significant other uses salt, and she will salt everything unless I tell her, hey, test it first to make sure it's not too salty already or already salty enough, because if you don't, and you eat it, or you add salt and then you eat it, you're going to be basically sitting there licking your lips with dry ass lips at the end of the night, wishing you hadn't added as much salt as you did. Which, you know, I don't usually do very often. I salt it I season it to myself, and then she salts it to however she wants it salted.
And no, I was not a smoker.
And no, she's not a smoker.
I just like.
She just likes salt, which is not a great position to be in either, because salt, basically in high quantities, can raise your blood pressure, can make you retain water, can throw off the pH of your body, can do all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it's one of those things that I'm trying to help her with, because I know it's not great for her, but at the same time, I'm not going to force her to do something that she doesn't want to do. Excuse me, if she doesn't want to do it. Because if somebody doesn't want to do something, it doesn't matter how many times you tell them the effects of something. You can tell them they're blue in your face. They're not going to do it because they want to do it. They got to do it for themselves, not for somebody else. Which I'm fine with. I'm not trying to change my significant other. I'm not trying to make her be something she's not.
Okay.
You know.
In my defense, we did try your way about not having pickles, and I suffered for it because the pickles do help my stomach.
Yeah, and there's some things that are beneficial that I don't understand fully, that we have to concede on, or come up with a compromise or something along those lines. But you know, that's any relationship. That's not just our relationship. So it's not that I don't want her to do something. I just want to maybe focus on trying to come up with a better option. Essentially, is what it comes down to. But I know this is a random video, and that's why this video is called random, and it's been on a bunny trail. And if you actually watched for the last 90 something minutes and kept up with everything that's been talked about, congratulations. And if you got lost at some point and or you're kind of like, where the heck am I at right now? Excuse me, where the heck am I at right now? Alice in Wonderland situation, went down the rabbit hole. I apologize. This is what my mind is like
We're
right
all
now.
mad here.
We're all a little bit crazy here. And considering it's like 12:30 in the morning.
No, it's 1 o'clock.
Oh God, okay. Considering it's 1 o'clock in the morning,
We gotta be up in 5 hours.
we got to be up in 5 hours. So, but if you have any questions or comments, you know, make sure you comment down below in the comment bar. Remember to like and subscribe this video if you like and subscribe it. Remember to hit the little bell notification icon so that way whenever I post a new video or I go live, you'll be able to know and you'll be able to see and be able to join me. So that way I'm not sitting here talking to myself and my significant other only. So I notice a lot of people watch my videos after the fact, which is fine. You know, I'm not irritated or worried about it. I'm just, you know, it'd be nice to have some actual like live questions. And that may come from just because maybe I'm going live at the wrong time of day or night, because I am over on the East Coast now. So
Well, I think
But-
you get tired of having my random questions that have nothing to do with your,
no, I love your random questions. Random questions are awesome.
and you do not get paid to say that.
No, I do not get paid to say that in any form or fashion. I actually do like her random questions. So, but I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If anybody has an answer for them, or if you want me to specifically answer them, make sure you tag me in it, or you ask me in the direct messaging. You can send me a question, and I will answer it to the best of my ability, within reason, of course. I'm not going to answer just any old question somebody throws at me. If it's not appropriate, I'm not going to answer it. But yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be some more videos coming up now that we've kind of gotten to a situation where things are kind of caught up and things are progressing forward at a more peaceful pace instead of running around with like a chickens with their heads cut off. You know, I should find more time for videos and for my practice and for my spirituality and basically overall wellness. My significant other and I were talking about going to a place. It's probably like what, 45 minutes away, half hour away. Alger State Park?
It is actually, yeah, it's about 45 minutes, well, about 40 minutes, cause it's about 30, cause it's about 20 minutes to get into Belington, and it's 8 miles outside of Belington, so.
Okay. So, but we've been talking about going to a place here. It's beautiful. It's Alger State Park. Reminds me a lot of Washington State because there's a lot of pine trees, a lot of trees that I'm used to seeing. It's right next to a river, and since it's a state park, you know, and it's kind of chilly out nowadays. There's not a lot of people around. You know, I kind of want to go out there, and I kind of want to sit out there. As long as there's an internet connection, you know, I can do a video out there. Last time we were out there, like 2 days after it had snowed?
Yeah, you
Or
could
something.
do a recording out there, I mean,
Yeah, I could record
And
out there and then try and upload it. I mean, I just don't know how long it would take. Because it would depend on the quality of the video. You'd probably be able to actually hear me and see me compared to the videos that I do as an upload. But, you know, I might do a video there. And, you know, there's little camp spots there that have a little grill that you can set fires in. You know, maybe we'll Maybe we'll burn some, bring some wood along or something and make a little fire and do something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But I need to brush my teeth and go to bed. Got to get up in about 5 hours, give or take, and start my week all over. So I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great night or great day or great afternoon or great morning, wherever you guys are at, depending on whenever you're watching this video as well. And I'll try to see if I can do more videos. See if the mood strikes me to keep on the upward trend. So just to put it out there, if you've made it all the way through this video, thank you. I love you guys. I will be working on trying to get a Patreon going. I will be working on trying to get an Amazon wish list going. So if you guys feel like you wish to gift or donate something either for our business or for us personally, feel free to do so. We will not turn it down. And just know that we will have many, many thanks coming to you for such if you desire to do that. Patreon, what we will do is we will have a bunch of different levels. Well, probably not a bunch of different levels, but a few different levels at least. One of the highest levels being a witchy crate
witchy
box
or
thing.
medicinal box.
Basically, it'll be a witchy type box or a witchy type crate for a subscription of a certain price or higher. Obviously, we don't have a name for it yet, but it'll either be medicinal or witchy or something along those lines. And we'll do that every month, basically. Excuse me. And I might do some exclusive content as an offer as well, but in reality, we just gotta see how things go. So I love you guys. Peace out. Blessed be. Have a good night, good day, good morning, good afternoon. Happy Ostara to anybody that celebrated it. And next holiday coming up is May Day or Beltane, if you want to call it that, if you want to go from there. So hopefully everybody has some fun stuff going on there. Fertility Festival, here we come. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Right.